What are 3 advantages of being politically neutral? So I am a recent convert to that status. I used to identify as libertarian until I realized even then I was putting too much stock or too much faith in the political system. And I realized the reality of it is it's completely arbitrary. Whichever side that you're on, ultimately it's lobbyists behind it. And even as a libertarian, we're not at a place in our country yet where enough people are going to go that route. And as I really thought about it, there are certain things the government should be involved in. So then I realized, I think really I'm in the middle. I'm centrist. I'm politically neutral. And now that I've embraced that title, I'm already seeing the advantages. So I want to share them with you today. So here they are. I'll just rattle them out and then I'll explain them. I'm realizing there's less anxiety in my life. It's harder to be arrogant and conceited. And then number 3, better relationships with other humans. So let's break that down. So imagine, let's process the political landscape of the United States. You can be conservative, you can be liberal. And ultimately, every 4 years, an election is going to happen, and the president's going to be one of those things. And so if your guy is selected, you win, right? And what does that mean? You get to look down on the other side and to yourself think, that other side, the side that lost, they're stupid, they're ignorant, they're immoral, and they're wrong. Everything they do is stupid. Like, that's basically the concept. It goes back to tribalism, like even with sports, the Super Bowl. People do that with sports, they do it with politics. So ultimately, you're putting yourself in a situation where it's natural and easy and even acceptable to look down on other people, to pass judgment on other people, make yourself feel superior because you're smarter, you're morally superior, you're more important than those other people on the side. Because again, they're wrong, they're immoral, they're stupid, right? If they're on the other side. But what happens when you're not on either team? You're in the middle, so your allegiance isn't to one side. So it's harder to look down on half the population because you're not on either half. You're actually neutral from that. So with that being said, for me, identifying as neutral now, it's less anxiety, it's less things to worry about. So many things that happen in the news or in our culture are largely the agenda of one side or the other. Do you realize that Fox News and CNN are the exact same? They're just different flavors. Do you realize they're both based in New York City? That they both are there to sell ads based on fear, gossip, and agendas? We can swap one for the other. It's like if you're on the debate team and you're assigned one side that you have to do. Like, that's what they're ultimately doing. And I recognize that. So I'm not interested in that. I get to unplug from that anxiety of worrying about those things that I'm supposed to worry. When you don't have a team like that, it's a lot less to worry about. One of the things I teach on my channel, which I am very red pill, is to focus on what you can control and not on what you can't. The news is basically stuff that you can't control, but they still want you to worry about it because that sells ads. But I don't have to worry about the anxiety of having allegiance to one side or the other. Number 2, as I've already kind of mentioned, it's harder to be arrogant and conceited when you're not judging other people all the time and thinking that they're all wrong, immoral, and ignorant. So much of life is getting over yourself. I mean, there's the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it's all about reminding you that people care about themselves more than you. So you focus the attention on them and make it about them. It's hard to do that when you look down on half the population once you realize that their beliefs are differently than you. And then lastly, these all kind of go hand in hand, but better relationships. When you're not judging people privately because you know that they're secretly on the other side, it's actually easier to connect with people. It's easier to relate to people because you have more in common with people when you have less things to disagree about. Is that too simple? Is that too easy of a concept? But if you focus on what you agree on instead of what you disagree on, it's easier to like someone. I think that's very basic, right? But when you remove from the equation the fact that you disagree with someone, you have by default more to agree with because you don't disagree on that thing. And granted, that doesn't change how they are. They could be hard left or hard right, and that's part of their identity. But the fact that you're not one or the other two means that there's less option that you could butt heads with them. So suddenly, I'm able to connect with that many more people because I realize none of that mattered anyway. All that really mattered was other people and building them up and encouraging them and giving meaning to their life. What's the meaning of life? To give meaning to life, including other people, especially other people. And you can't do that if you're not more focused on other people than yourself. You can't do that when you're judging people because they're on the wrong team. I'm convinced we could be talking about political parties or we could be talking about the Super Bowl. It's just as arbitrary either way. I feel so free. I feel so free now that I am 100% not attached to either political party, but I'm also connected to them more. Your comments belong right here.